Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Matilda Mossman Show. I'm Bruce Howard, joined by the head women's basketball coach at the University of Tulsa, Matilda Mossman. And Coach, tough league, tough week, huh?
Yeah, they're all tough. They're all tough. We start out with Houston, and we're playing okay, and then we get to the fourth quarter and can't score a field goal. And I mean, that's tough when you go for an entire 10-minute period and you don't score a field goal. And then we play Tulane. We get up to a, I think, 7-point halftime lead, and then they go on a 14-2 run to start the third quarter. Fourth quarter, we cut it back to 4, and then they just had too many weapons. So Houston's really good. Tulane's really good. Those top 4 teams, top really 5 teams in our league are really, really good.
Yeah, and you had to face 2 of those this past week. And in the Houston game, 0 for 16 in the fourth quarter. Have you ever had an 0 for in a quarter, as far as field goal shooting is concerned, that you can remember?
I can't remember one. I mean, it's frustrating, but I thought we took good shots. We also, turned it over a little bit during that time, but just the ball's got to go in the basket to have a chance. The ball has to go in the basket. And Houston, they're just so athletic, and they were closing out on us quickly, and we just couldn't get in a rhythm and we didn't have enough inside touches. I mean, for us, we've got to go inside to outside to get rhythm, and it was just too much side to side, and then shot clock's going down, and so then we're taking a hurried shot, but. We'll get better. We'll get better. We got a lot of guys playing together for the first time, and it just takes repetition. Those guys have to play together, and those kids at Houston have played together for a while. Those kids at Tulane, same way. 4 of their 5 starters are returners. They've played together. They're juniors and seniors. They've played together numerous years, again together. So we're kind of playing catch up with some of those teams that have veterans that have played a lot. Just trying to play catch up with young guys who, again, haven't played a lot of minutes together.
Yeah, in that Houston game, you were playing catch up the entire game. I know you're down by 10 at the end of the first quarter. You shaved into it, and going into the fourth, I think it was 3-point game perhaps, right, before what happened in the fourth quarter. So it's not like you didn't battle and didn't fight in that game on the road, because it can get away from you on the road.
It can. And like you said, we played pretty even in the second quarter and third quarter. It was just that first quarter when they jumped out at us. And then in the Houston game, we kind of cut into the lead, and I think we had it between 4 and 6, and then they just shot it into a whole nother gear. I think we had cut it to 4 or 5 going into the fourth quarter, and then they just shot it into a whole nother gear.
Yeah, and when you talk about the entire game, 25% shooting, Yvette Mayberry leads the way for you again, your freshman with 15 points. But even your scorers in this game, she went 4 for 16. Even the ones that did score for you took a few shots to get there.
Yeah, she went 4 for 16. Maya was our second leading scorer, and she goes 3 for 12. So, nobody was hitting in that fourth quarter. So we've got to find some scoring. We've got to find a third person to get in double figures. But mostly we just have to get more of an inside-outside presence so that we can get our perimeter people better shots.
And this was coming off of your best shooting day against Memphis the week before, that Saturday before, where you picked up the win. So you're hoping for a little bit of momentum. It just didn't happen. Huh?
Yeah, and you think back to Oklahoma State at the beginning of the year, we shot 50% from 3.
Yeah.
And then against Tulane the other night, we shot 36% from 3. And that was our second best 3-point shooting night of the year. So the Tulane game, I left there very encouraged. I think we're getting better. It's just timely mistakes, turnovers here or there, especially when Tulane came back at halftime and we had that 7-point lead and they went on that 14-2 tear. We turned it over a couple times in there. We missed some key shots in that time period. So, but again, I think we're getting better. I think we're accomplishing some things, but there's still a lot of things that we have to get better at.
Well, you had a 10-point lead in the first half against Tulane. They whittled it down to 7, as you mentioned, at halftime. Then they went on that run in the third quarter, and not that you want to segment every game off into quarters, but it seems like you have, when you lose games, you have the one bad quarter that seems to doom you.
Yeah, and too many times we've had some really bad fourth quarters, but we had a bad fourth quarter against Cincinnati and won. We had a bad fourth quarter against Memphis and won. We had a bad fourth quarter against Oklahoma State and won. So we've been able to keep ourselves out of trouble even with some bad quarters, but we're just playing too many good teams. There's too many good teams in our league, and they just come in, they battle you every night, And we just have to keep our head up and keep battling, and some of those are going to come in our favor.
Well, and you had a decent fourth quarter against Tulane. You win that 14-13. This time it was the third quarter when they came out of the gate in that third quarter. They did some things and made things uncomfortable for you, I guess.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they're a really good. Again, they're an experienced veteran team. They changed up their defenses a lot, which we struggled with, but we've addressed some of that issue, and we're trying to help Yvette. Yvette's having to make so many decisions up there as a freshman, and we can't have people around her standing. We've got to do some things off the ball to get people open. So we've addressed some of those things, and hopefully that will help us, down the road.
Yeah, and Maya Mayberry ended up leading you in scoring with 21 points in that game. But we saw two of the best freshmen in the league, in the two freshman point guards we saw in that game. We're talking, of course, about Yvette Mayberry, but also about Jerkayla Jordan. She was outstanding, 22 points for Tulane. And you talk about somebody that really seems to be very mature for a freshman. You got two of them on the court that day.
Yeah, Jordan is really special. She was the Louisiana Player of the Year, her senior in high school. And Tulane has some other kids from her high school on their team. And they got a good one in her, but she hasn't shot, that she hasn't really known to be a 3-point shooter, but she hit her first one out the gate, and the first shot of the game I think was her hitting a 3, and then she goes on and she goes 4 for 4 from the 3-point line. She was really good that night.
Yeah, and certainly for the future of the league too. Those two really good players. I think they split the first 5 Freshman of the Week honors between Yvette and between Jerkayla. So some really good play yet to come in the American Athletic Conference, and hopefully some good play from your team coming up. Got a tough schedule, of course, continues, but at 2-5, you still have some opportunities to kind of move up in the standings here in the next week or two.
Right, and we've looked back at other years. We're a little bit ahead as far as conference standings. We're a little bit ahead of where we've been in other years. We are 2-5 in the league, and before that night we were 2-4, and we hadn't been 2-4 in the league in a long time. So we feel like we're moving in the right direction. It's just getting some experience for these. Not all of them are young guys, but they're new guys. So we've got to get experience playing together.
Now we'll look at the standings in a moment and talk about the week coming up when we continue on the Matilda Mossman Show in a moment.
Are the American.
What is true blue? It's true loyalty, supporting others with unwavering commitment. It's true innovation, thinking creatively and strategically to make a difference. It's true strength, taking risks and standing up for what's right. True Blue is a 125-year legacy. Find the true you at the University of Tulsa.
We're back on the Matilda Mossman Show, and Coach, as we take a peek of the standings, boy, if you could have won that Tulane game, look at where where you would be at 3-4. But you're 2-5, and you play one of the teams that's 3-4, a little bit ahead of you. So you got a chance to make some hay this week.
We do. It'll be our first time to play East Carolina, but then it'll be our second time on Saturday to play Memphis. And then we turn around in 10 days, though, and we have East Carolina again. So just so happened that's the way the conference schedule worked out, that play Memphis within 10 days of each other, would play ECU in 10 days from each other. But bottom line is we just need continued time to get better. And every time we have a game, it gives us another opportunity to get better, to make some adjustments, to really find out more about our team.
Well, we know about Memphis because Tulsa just got done beating them a week ago, but ECU, what do they bring to the table?
They'll bring that same 3-2 zone that Memphis uses, that UCF uses, that Tulane uses a little bit. Then they'll pick up in a 1-2-2 half-court press, and so they're really athletic. They're fast. They run around. They anticipate really well. LaShonda Monk is one of the national leaders in steals, so you have to be aware where she is off the ball, because if you don't fake a pass and get her out of position, she's going to run through and get a steal. But they've got, again, veterans that played together a lot last year under Kim McNeil in her first year at ECU. So they're doing some really good things. They really are. They've got some very talented players.
And then if you're able to kind of get a little bit of momentum with a home matchup in the middle of the week against ECU on Wednesday, then you have Memphis away from home on Saturday. Got a little confidence. You were able to hold them off in the late stages to win your game at home. So who knows what will happen in Memphis. I know you're not looking too much farther than ECU, but you'd have a little confidence going to Memphis.
We would, but again, like you said, one game at a time. We've got to get through ECU, and we're looking forward to that matchup. Looking forward to playing somebody that we haven't played yet, and all you have to go off of right now is film and the fact that we played well against them last year. So we're going into it with confidence and knowing, seemingly knowing what we need to do in order to get a win. And
one final note before we close it out, Saturday's game was coaches versus racism, and certainly a very important dialogue to have. Coaches getting together. It's kind of like coaches versus cancer, but it's coaches versus racism. Very, very important dialogue, I think. Yeah, and I'm glad we were able to at least send out a positive message and bring attention to some of the things that are going on. And I know we've got a lot of kids on our team that are heavily involved in racial equality and justice, and assistant coaches who are very involved. So the more we can do to bring attention to kind of the plight of some others, I think the more we can benefit them, going forward. Yeah, and we're taping this on Martin Luther King Day, so it's really important to have these discussions. And in that discourse, of course, in the summer, your team went down to Black Wall Street, made a unity march, and all of that, and I think that's important. It is. I mean, it's we went down to the Franklin Hope Reconciliation Park, and very educational. We had not done that before, but it's something that we need to do every year, just to go down and allow our kids to kind of see that and see some of the history, and which would in turn make them want to go back on their own and take other people and try to get as many people and get that message to as many people as we can. And I know both you and head coach Frank Haith on the men's side, when you have a chance, or you go to Memphis, if you have the chance, I know you like to go to the Lorraine Motel, which is where Martin Luther King was assassinated. It is a tremendous museum there that can really be a teachable moment for your kids. It can. We have tried to get that on our itinerary for a number of years, and it seems like our trips into Memphis are quick in, quick out. So, one year we had the conference tournament in Memphis, and we had it on our itinerary, and I can't remember now what happened, but we didn't get to go. But certainly something that if our kids have the opportunity on their own when they're in Memphis to go to that L'Oreal Hotel, that would be significant. Absolutely. Well, Coach, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Okay, thanks, Bruce. Head coach Matilda Mossman, University of Tulsa women's basketball.